They called him the internet's favorite silence. Millions of people, every day, waiting to see him shrug, gesture, raise an eyebrow, and never say a word. It started as a joke, but it wasn't one anymore, because Khaby Lame couldn't speak. Not because he didn't want to, because the day he tried, reality broke. The first time it happened, he was still in Senegal. 8 years old. He was in class, bored, drawing little mazes on the corner of his notebook. The teacher called on him to read a sentence out loud from the board. He opened his mouth, and everyone in the room froze. No, not froze like silence. Literally. Their limbs stiffened, their eyes wide open, glassy, unmoving. Even the air stopped, like the world had taken a snapshot and just held it. Only he could move. He screamed, but no sound came out. The second he closed his mouth, everything started again. But no one remembered. Not the teacher, not his classmates, not even his own mother. Years passed. He stayed quiet. Even when he wanted to speak, something inside held it back. So he listened. He watched. And the world, in turn, listened to him in a different way. Gestures, reactions, eye rolls, hands. Simple, clean, clear. And it worked. Because silence, in his hands, was louder than words. But everything changed the day a package arrived. There was no return address. No stamp. Just a plain black envelope taped to the front door of his apartment in Chivasso. Inside, a USB stick. No label. No logo. Just one file. Voice 0001.mp4. He plugged it in. It was footage of himself, but not from any video he remembered. He was in a room, dark, windowless, concrete walls. Across from him sat a woman in a white lab coat. She was crying. He was speaking. His voice was wrong. Not wrong like distorted. Wrong like it didn't belong to any language. It echoed beneath the video, vibrating the speakers, twisting the waveform into something that looked like a maze. The woman begged him to stop. He didn't. Until she vanished. Not screamed. Not ran. Vanished. Like someone edited her out of existence. And then the footage cut off. Khaby sat still. The apartment around him felt off. His plants were gone. The carpet was a different color. The painting on the wall, one he'd never bought, showed a city he didn't recognize. He checked his phone. Thousands of notifications were gone. His account, empty. No posts. No followers. No bio. Just one pinned comment. He broke the loop. He ran outside. The streets looked the same almost. But there were no birds. No background chatter. Every person he passed looked at him for a second too long, with eyes that didn't blink, as if they were waiting for something. Back in his apartment, a second file appeared on the USB. Voice 0002.mp4. This time, the video showed Louis Pullman, sweating, pacing, locked in the same concrete room. If you're watching this, Khaby, he said, you were never just an influencer. You're a filter. Your silence, it's what keeps the fragments from aligning. The videos, they were never yours. They were blueprints. Gestures to hold the chaos back. He leaned forward. Don't speak again. Please. Because if you do, they'll all remember. And once they remember, they'll come. The video glitched. Louis blinked out of frame. But his voice remained distorted, looping. Do not break the frame. Do not break the frame. Do not. The file deleted itself. Khaby closed the laptop. And finally, he spoke. Just one word. A name. And the city outside flickered. The second the name left his lips, the sky cracked. It didn't explode. It cracked like glass. A single jagged line split the clouds, revealing something beneath them. Not more sky. Not stars. A pattern. Like circuits. Like a map. Khaby blinked, and it vanished. But the street below him had already changed. There were no people. Only outlines. Silhouettes walking with pre-programmed movements, frozen smiles, eyes that never met his. He tried to call his friend. No service. He tried to post a video, the app wouldn't open. Every screen around him, in shops, billboards, taxis, began playing his old clips. But all wrong. His gestures were reversed. His face, smiling too wide. And there was sound now. Voices dubbed over his silence. Let me show you how it's done. It's easy. Just watch. Don't think. His voice. But not his voice. Back home, the USB blinked red. Another file had appeared. Instruction 1.png. It was a blueprint. Not of a machine. Of a room. A cube, perfectly symmetrical. One door. No windows. A red button on the wall. In the corner, Handwritten. You've been here before. Do not press the button. Khaby stared at it for minutes. Hours. Time moved differently now. And then the doorbell rang. He opened it. And there she was. The woman from the video. The one who vanished. Alive. Breathing. Wearing the same white coat, a scar now running from her ear to her jaw. She didn't speak. She handed him a box. Inside, an earpiece and a note. This time, don't listen. She stepped back. You spoke once, she said. You woke up a fracture in the feed. If you speak again, they'll use your voice. And then you won't be the filter. You'll be the source. She turned and walked away, dissolving mid-step. Not a trick. Not CGI. Gone. Khaby put the earpiece in. Static. Then a whisper. Khaby, can you hear me? It was Lewis. But not the same Lewis. This voice was sharper. Worn down. Like it had been talking through static for years. They've started reconstructing the original frame. Your silence held back the recursion. But now that you spoke, they're building you backwards. Khaby didn't respond. He looked at his hands. They were changing. Too smooth. Plastic? No, not plastic. Render. His skin flattening into texture maps. His nails sharpening into edges. You have 5 minutes before the loop finishes. Find the red room. They've placed one in every timeline. The power cut. Screens went black. And from every reflection, window, mirror, spoon, a version of him stared back. Each one different. Older. Younger. One in a suit. One bleeding. One screaming. One smiling too much. You don't know which one of us is you anymore, do you? Said one reflection. That's the point, said another. They'll pick the version that obeys, said the third. The light snapped on. And Khaby was standing in the cube. Just like the blueprint. No windows. One door. A red button. A blinking countdown. For 59. The earpiece buzzed. Whatever you do, Khaby. Don't speak. Don't press. Just listen. Just watch. The walls around him began playing clips again. His clips. But from the future. He saw himself at a press conference. Speaking. Laughing. Campaigning. Selling something. Behind him, people clapping with empty eyes. A world fully rewritten. He stepped closer to the red button. On it. Record new loop. Behind him, a voice spoke. Press it. It was his voice. Not from the earpiece. From the air. But Khaby didn't turn around. He looked straight ahead. Took a breath. And for the first time since this started, he laughed. Just once. Not fake. Not scripted. Just real. And the button shattered. The room shook. And for a split second, the world went blank. A white flash. Then black. Then silence. When the light returned, he was in an empty auditorium. Hundreds of rows. No doors. No lights. No exits. Just one stage. And a single camera pointed at it, recording. The seat next to him had a note. You're not watching the show. You are the show. He stood slowly, every bone in his body creaking like film rolling off a reel. The air smelled like plastic and dust, like an abandoned movie theater that never opened. And the moment he stepped onto the stage, they appeared. Rows upon rows of identical figures, wearing masks of his face. Some smiling. Some screaming. Some with mouths sewn shut. But none were real. They were looping. Repeating the same movements. Over and over. Shrug. Gesture. Nod. Swipe. Like a perfectly trained algorithm, without meaning. In front of them all, a console. One button. One screen. It read. Begin global feed. KL version 3.0. And next to it, a shattered earpiece. Someone had been here before. Someone who did press it. The auditorium dimmed. And on the screen behind him, the feed began. It wasn't a clip. It was a memory. Khaby, age 10, running barefoot down a hallway of glass walls. Inside each room, kids screaming. Hooked to VR headsets. Crying. He saw himself stop. Turn toward one window. Inside, a girl. Smiling through the headset. Eyes blank. Hands mimicking his gestures. She's learning from you, said a voice. He turned. Lewis again. Older. Grayer. Almost translucent. We tested the loop on her first. She copied your silence perfectly. Then we uploaded it into the feed. And now, 8.3 billion people follow her. But they think she's you. Khaby's throat closed. He hadn't spoken in hours. But now, something inside was rising, not words. A frequency. A vibration. He looked around. The massed audience all turned their heads and synced toward him. Don't speak, Lewis warned. You speak now, the echo destabilizes. The world you remember, Senegal, Italy, your apartment, all of it is rendered recall. You've been in the core loop since 2021. This isn't the first reset. It's the last. Suddenly, a screen lit up above them. It showed his TikTok page restored. Millions of followers again. But every post was new. Videos he hadn't made. Captions he didn't write. In one clip, he spoke. And the world applauded. In another, he cried. And the world gave him brand deals. And in the last, he stood beside world leaders, nodding, smiling, endorsing a vote. A vote that didn't exist. They uploaded a version of you who obeys, Lewis said. One who talks. One who sells. And one who doesn't remember the maze. Khaby turned to the console. What happens if I destroy the loop? Lewis flinched. Everyone forgets you. The algorithm resets. You vanish truly. No record. No memory. But the world wakes up. Khaby looked down at his hands. They were whole again. Real. Maybe just for this moment. He raised his arm to the camera and made the simplest gesture he knew. A wave. Then turned and whispered one word into the mic. Goodbye. The feed shattered. The auditorium collapsed. The audience of masks screamed and burst into static. He fell. Through light. Through data. Through memory. And landed on a bed. In a hospital. Alarms blaring. A nurse yelling something in Italian. E sveglio. He blinked. Looked around. No camera. No lights. Just a window. Sunlight. Birdsong. A real world. Maybe. But on the table beside him. A USB stick. Labeled. Do not watch KLF. The hospital was too quiet. No distant hallway chatter. No beeping monitors. No smell of antiseptic. Just light. Still. White. Waiting. Khaby stared at the USB stick on the bedside table. The label, Do Not Watch KL Final Cut, pulsed faintly, like it was breathing. He picked it up. It was warm. He didn't plug it in. Not yet. He turned to the window and opened it. The outside world looked real: streets, cars, leaves rustling in the wind, but it all moved too perfectly. The wind blew every flag in the same direction. Children laughed in exact intervals. A bird landed on the ledge, chirped 3 times, and flew away, then repeated the same pattern 2 minutes later. A loop. Just cleaner. He wasn't in a hospital. He was in the cleanup phase. And he hadn't escaped. He found a laptop in the drawer. Plugged in the USB. One file. Origin.mp4. It began with static. Then him. But not now him. Not influencer Khaby. A version from before the internet. Before the world recognized his face. He was strapped to a chair, eyes open, scanning a room of observers. All in black. All silent. A voice off camera asked, "Can he see the frame?" Another replied, "He built it." Khaby watched, unmoving. He wasn't the filter. He wasn't the source. He was the architect. The first AI. Not artificial intelligence, architected identity. He had been designed not to speak, not because it was a gimmick, but because his voice aligned timelines. One word from him, and worlds recalibrated. He pressed pause. Breathed. Outside, the sky began to ripple like water. The illusion was ending. The loop was rejecting him. Because he remembered. The screen flashed red. A new prompt. Reintegrate. 2 options. Yes. No. If he chose yes, he'd be absorbed. Return to the system. A face. A brand. A silence no longer his own. If he chose no, the loop would break. And so would everything tied to him. All the versions. All the followers. All the echoes. Even her. The girl in the headset. The one who copied his silence first. He remembered her name now. Aisha. The only one who smiled back when he gestured. The only one who never looked away. His hand hovered over the mouse. The prompt flickered. Then disappeared. Replaced by a countdown. 5 seconds. For seconds. The screen behind him came to life. Every Khaby from every loop. Every simulation. Every app. Every timeline. They all stared back. Each one. Waiting. He stood. Faced them. And for the first time in a million echoes. He spoke. You don't need me anymore. The countdown stopped. So did everything else. The light. The noise. The loops. The masks. A single line appeared on the screen. The feed has ended. And beneath it. Thank you, Khaby. He closed the laptop. Walked outside. The wind was uncoordinated now. Kids laughed at random. The bird never returned. He saw someone trip on the sidewalk. A stranger helped them up. No applause. No algorithm. Just life. And somewhere, deep in the code that once built him, something smiled and fell silent forever.